On the show today, we're talking about a strategy most social media managers don't use, which could make their clients more money.
Welcome to JFDI with the Two Lauras, the weekly show where we share tips, ideas, insights, and the occasional rant about working in social media marketing. As a social media manager, I'm guessing that your clients probably want to make more money from their marketing, which is why they've hired you. So you might be surprised to hear that 92% of people visiting your clients' websites from the content that you're creating will not buy on their first visit. So on today's episode, we're diving into a strategy that social media managers could use to get more people to spend more money with their clients. And the big benefit to you is that you can then charge more money for this service too. Bonus! Right, let's dive in.
Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching.
Show me the money! Okay, right. If you have ever been on a website, you probably have been on many websites, but there's probably been a website that you have gone and looked at, you've maybe seen a product, maybe you saw it on Instagram first, and you've been like, oh yeah, this looks cool. And then you don't go and buy it, right? And then a couple of days later, maybe you might see it mentioned again in an ad, and you're like, oh, that's that thing I was looking at. But you're sitting on your sofa, you can't be bothered to get up and go and get your credit card. And then a couple of hours later, you've got up off your sofa, you see the ad again, you're like, oh, yes, there's that thing, I need to go and buy it. And you've kind of been stalked around by this thing that you were looking at. It happens to me a lot, by the way. I get stalked by products a lot that I then end up going and buying. That is retargeting in action. And that is one of the most powerful and underused kind of tools and strategies for social media managers.
Yeah. In case you missed this in the intro from Laura, there's 92% of website visitors do not buy on their first visit. So retargeting helps bring them back.
That is a massive stat.
Yeah, and that is me.
Yeah.
Like, because
it's most people, clearly.
Well, yeah, clearly, yeah. Like I'm on the website looking at something, then the phone rings or the kettle boils or the kids walk in the room and I think I'll do that later, and later never happens.
But it could just be, oh, can I get it cheaper somewhere else? Oh, are there other alternatives? You know, oh, I need to go and speak to someone about this. I need to go and ask my husband if he thinks we should buy this.
Yeah.
Or
I need to go
have I got
and
enough money in the bank? You know, there's so many reasons why you might not buy it on that first visit. But 92%, that's nearly all the website traffic, nearly all the people who are coming from your content. Like, that is massive and quite depressing.
It was quite depressing for a social media manager who works their ass off.
Yeah.
To get someone to click a link is hard. And you finally get them to click the link and then they land on the website and then the buggers don't do anything. 92% of the buggers.
You're looking at your stats and you've had 100 link clicks this month and you can tell yourself, great, only 8 of those probably ever bought anything. I mean, that's just a great way to start the week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna make this much more cheery. And help you to get those people back.
So let's just start by explaining what do we mean by retargeting. So retargeting are ads that are shown to people who've already engaged with that particular brand in some way. So it may be they've visited the website, they've maybe watched one of your videos, they've engaged, maybe commented on your Instagram or on your Facebook. And as soon as that action has taken, you will then, that person then goes into their retargeting audience. Now, it's not as simple as that 100% of those people will be retargeted, but a lot more people are going to be put back in front of that brand than if you weren't doing them.
Yeah. And it's like you're spending all of this time for your client, building that awareness, building that trust, helping them to, you know, kind of generate these warm leads essentially. And then they're not actually converting into money in the bank. If you can do retargeting, that is a big win for the client because they're spending money already to get that attention. If you can turn that attention into actual buyers, that is a massive win for them. And your clients probably don't even realise that stat of the 92%. And it might be higher for them. They could go and look on their own, you know, Google Analytics and stuff and find out if it is, you know, around that. So if you can then position it as a win for them, I think that would be brilliant.
Because if you imagine you a social media manager for oak furniture, someone goes, oh, I love that oak table. They then go away, so they go and check out the website, they get the measurements, they go away and find their tape measure, which something like me would take days, go and measure their dining room area, decide whether, maybe speak to somebody else, decide whether that's going to fit and whether they want it. Then they're like, oh, you know what, I cannot remember what that company was. So you go on Google and you type in oak table, and then you end up going to the competitor of the person who first introduced you to that particular table.
Yeah.
So if you had retargeting ads running, you in theory are taking away that loss of a customer. Yeah, the risk.
Yeah. It happens to me a lot. I see something. I have like I will often screenshot things when I see them on the internet, hoping that I won't forget who they are. I always lose a screenshot. So, if they're retargeting me, I'm much more likely to buy it, for sure.
Yeah, especially if you've got hesitation in buying them and your retargeting ads are dealing with those kind of pain points and are good ads, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so there are 3 very easy ways to do retargeting, particularly for social media managers who have worked very hard. Number 1 is, as we've mentioned, those website visitors. So people have seen your hard efforts on social media, they've gone over to the website and they've browsed the product, they've maybe spent a little bit of time on that website, but they didn't buy. A website retargeting ad could bring them back into your world with a call to action to buy or to, sign up for something or to fill out a form, whatever that thing may be.
And what's important to note with that is that they have to have been on the website, but they don't have to have clicked a link that you've put on a piece of content.
No.
They don't have to have clicked the link in the bio. They just have to have been on the website.
Yeah.
So if they are on Instagram, for example, and they see some content, but then they go and Google you, they've still been on the website, so they can still be retargeted.
Yes, and with that in mind, your retargeting ads can be mopping up people who've been on the website, even if they've never been on your social media. So you get to pull these people into your client's world who have just gone on there kind of straight from Google.
Perfect. Love that.
Okay, so that's website visitors. And number 2 is your engaged social media followers. So you can retarget people who engage with your social content. You can retarget people who, whether they've liked something, commented on something, whether they've just followed you. And that's on both Instagram and Facebook. And so that's where, again, if you imagine you've put some good content out, you're getting loads of people commenting on it, then they get pulled into a retargeting ad to get them down the next step, whether that be to go and buy a product or, as I say, there are various options. But it means that you've done the hard work of getting that engagement, and then the ad takes the people down that next step of the funnel.
Yeah, love it. And then the final one is your video viewers. So this is brilliant because if you are somebody who's creating reels or, any kind of video content on Instagram and Facebook, you can retarget people who've watched those videos, and you can do it depending on how much of that video they've watched, right?
Yeah.
And obviously the more of a video they've watched, the kind of hotter they are potentially. So you can mop up all of those people who've spent time watching your reels or your videos and get them into an audience, and then do similar to what you've just said about showing them those ads after they've watched the videos, which is amazing.
Yeah. And nowadays, video views have always been, nowadays, makes me sound like a right old lady, but video views has always been an amazing tool, but it was kind of less so, 10 years ago. But now, obviously, with the introduction to short form video, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Such a good tool.
I mean, imagine, right, your client's got some brilliant UGC kind of content showing how a product works or whatever, and then the person watches that and they're like, oh, this looks really good. And then they keep getting hit by an ad, buy this thing. They already know how it works. So, It's just like reminding them to get off their ass and go and get the credit card so they can go and buy the thing. Perfect. Love it. But there are some mistakes when it comes to retargeting. So should we talk about those as well?
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the ones would be, I'm just trying to think, the most likely is probably not giving things enough time. So with Meta ads, everything takes a bit of time to bed in. It takes time for Meta to find the people that you want your ads to go to. So it's a case of, and it's a term we use all the time when we're teaching people in the Ads Manager Academy, it's like sitting on your hands, like waiting, having patience. Yes, it's all Meta's machine learning doing a lot of this work for you, but it still takes time. If you think of all the billions of people who use Facebook and Instagram, and you're asking them to find a small percentage of people who happen to have engaged with your social content, that's quite an ask. So you do have to wait and have that patience and not panic. I'd say would be one of the biggest, and I see it all the time when people have just turned off the ads after like 48 hours.
Yeah, it's not enough time for sure. I think another one is forgetting to exclude people who've already bought. And this won't apply to all businesses, because for some businesses, you might buy that thing over and over again and you'll want those repeat customers. But if you're selling, something really high end and expensive, maybe your client sells luxury yachts, right? Someone's probably only going to buy one of those in their lifetime, or maybe 2 or 3, but not loads. So they don't probably need to see ads on Instagram anyway, but that's a whole different story. But you'd want to exclude those people who've already bought a luxury yacht, because there's no point showing them an ad because they're not going to go and buy another one tomorrow.
Yeah. There are caveats to that, isn't there, in that some people don't exclude their buyers because then they'll comment on the ad going, I love mine, I love
my yacht.
Yeah. And then you get some good social proof. So there are, strategic reasons why you might not do that. But
can I just say, when we're writing our podcast notes, we really need to make some examples of what we're going to talk about, because me trying to plug an example, I come up with greengrocers, luxury yachts. I mean, neither of which are actually ever relevant to anything we're talking about. And so that's a note for the future.
Neither of which have you ever had clients?
No, I haven't, funnily enough. Maybe
that
should be the next person I'm trying to target, a luxury yacht company or a greengrocer. I mean, the content would be vastly different. Maybe interesting. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, another mistake might be that you sweep all of the people that we've talked about. So your website visitors, your social engagers, people who've watched a certain video or certain videos. You may try to create ads that speak to all of those people. And in some cases, that absolutely might be fine. That might be the right thing to do. But if you think of that buyer's journey, if someone's just watched one of your reels and maybe actually didn't know it was even your reel, your ads are still going to have to work a bit harder than if it's someone who's seen your content, gone on the website, checked out the product, and is actively kind of considering it. So you may just have to have tweaks to your content and your messaging depending on where they are in that kind of buyer's process. Again, like with everything with ads, there's no hard mistakes, because you have to kind of test everything. But I definitely think kind of sometimes mopping everybody up into the same retargeting ads with the same messaging could be a slight error.
Yeah, and depending on how much you're spending when you're running ads, only showing the same messaging and the same images, like you'd want to make sure you've always got at least 2 different creatives running anyway, but you want them to be like probably vastly different, talking about different angles, different videos, etc. So that you are talking about things in a different way, because people need to see different messages, don't they, at different times, and come at things from different angles.
Yeah, and I suppose on that as well, there's another mistake which I think is really, I think happens when people don't really understand meta ads and they don't understand the complexities of it, is that they create the ad, they turn them on, and then they just leave them.
Yeah.
They don't do any more testing. They don't put more creative in. They don't tweak the, retargeting audience or the retargeting window. They don't test anything. They just turn them on and then wonder why nothing's happening. And which is a really bad place to be when you're spending your clients' money. So you really do want to, yes, have a play around, but, yes, turn things on and get started. Yes, then sit on your hands, but you still need to have like a strategy and a plan to move forward.
Yeah. I think the other mistake that people make with this is if you're going to be offering retargeting to a client, this is an extra service. This doesn't go into your existing fees.
Oh,
right?
absolutely not.
This is another service, which is why you should really be thinking about doing this kind of service, because you could make some more money, and like really decent money comes from running ads. But you do need to know what you're doing. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to go and start creating retargeting ads if you've never been an ads manager before and you don't really know what you're doing. You want to make sure you understand the strategy. You want to know all the buttons to press, what you should put in your copy, all of that stuff. Don't just try and wing it.
And if you're listening to this thinking, geez, this sounds like the perfect kind of service that you want to add to your repertoire, or maybe you've got some clients that will really benefit from this, but you're kind of thinking, I don't really know how to do this, I don't know where to start, then don't worry, look no further, as they say. We have got a retargeting ads training manual, which we will link to in the show notes, but you can also head to thetwolauras.com/retarget. And that's going to give you access to much more in-depth knowledge all about retargeting. We're going to introduce you to lots of different retargeting funnel examples and answer all of your retargeting ad questions all in one handy training manual. So go grab that today, and we hope you enjoy it.
And in the meantime, we'll be back same time, same place next week.
We will.
Toodle pip.
Au revoir.